Course Creation Challenge bonus masterclass number one. And I'm so glad that you guys are here with me because it would be lonely by myself for sure. So I want to make sure that we are able to see everything, hear everything, and also that if you have any questions along the way, that you stop me, make sure that you give me, the thumbs up that you can hear me in the chat. If you can't, I know that I should be able to see it, but if I am not seeing it and I don't hear you or see you in the chat, this will be available on a replay. So that is one of your like saving graces to the whole thing, is that we will be able to see it in the chat. So I have not turned on closed captions for this, but if you would like closed captions, there is, I think, an option on your Zoom to make that available. So like I said, this is the bonus masterclass for the Course Creation Challenge, and I'm really glad that you are here with me. If you have any issues being accessible with the slides or anything that has to do with this particular masterclass, please give me an email, shout out how I can assist you in either reviewing the replay or just answering any questions that might have been concerning during this class. So thank you. Thank you for showing up, because I know that as much as I love teaching, it's great to have people to talk to and be able to share ideas with and be able to get to the next place. So thank you so much for being here. Like I say in every single class, turn off all distractions. Obviously, we're talking about online courses, so it's hard to be like off of every single, tablet or computer or mobile phone, but it is really important to make sure that you have your full attention going into these slides that we're going to be just running through. And I know I'm going to stop my screen at some point just to make sure that we have all of your questions answered. But for right now, if you want to just hold on to your questions, we are going to be going lightning speed because we have a lot to cover. But make sure to open up your workbook so that we can go through all of those, fill in the blanks and everything, that you can get all of that done today. All right, so I want to know in your chat box, just let me know where you're at in your course creation process, because I know that some of you have been in our course creation challenge, and maybe somebody who's watching a replay has not been in the challenge. So I want to know where you are in your course creation process. I think it's really important to have self-assessment so that you know and you're really honest about where you're at and maybe how far you've come just in the challenge or even afterward. Let's see here. I see this chat. Ooh, okay, fine tuning the pieces and sorting it all together. Yes. Okay, so it is a process. The sorting, it's so funny because my mom is always sorting things, right? She's got this closet. And, I always like to say, find some space between you and your course, because it's great to have what you want in your course, but then you might get really obsessed with the details and the overcomplicating things. And I always like to say, just find some room that you can breathe between you and your course, because a lot of times we are so wrapped up in our courses. It's the best thing since sliced bread, and we don't give ourselves that room to breathe because we have to get it going. We have to get it going. It has to be done. And if you take a moment to take a step back, I think that this is what this masterclass is really going to help you do, is to take that step back from your course and say, these are the things that are right, and these are the things that we need to do, and how do we get that going without being right on top of our course, right? So let's move to the next. Now, I know that I always introduce myself because sometimes people have joined me from different places, whether you've seen me from your Facebook ads, or if you have joined me because you have already been in my newsletter subscription, receiving that every week. So I can help you launch your course because I've done it before. I've also created workshops. I've had conferences. I have summits. And so events And just the creation of those is a process. It's the same kind of process that you think about when you are creating a course. And when I create my courses, I utilize some of the tools that I learned when I was in school. So I went to University of Oregon, and I studied sociology, which I am like, why did I do that? But it was a backup plan. And I also studied communication studies, which is basically journalism. And then I went to USC and I got my master's in communication management. And then I went to back to USC, different school, but the School of Education over there. And I got my doctorate in organizational change and leadership. And my dissertation was on e-commerce marketing strategies and targeting online consumers. And so when I put together courses, I utilize that journalism aspect of always wanting to know, that curiosity. What is it about whatever the subject that I'm teaching that I want to know more about? I also have taught at USC in the Gloria Kaufman School of Dance. I was not a dance teacher, I was actually a lecturer, and I taught people about pop culture and how that relates to dance. And when I was doing that, I really got into curriculum design and what it takes to really create a class that people gravitate toward. And I had people in my class. It was a big lecture class, and I did not have dancers necessarily. These were people who were coming in from all over the USC campus, and so they weren't necessarily focused on dance. And so I had to make it inspiring, educational, and entertaining for people who were not necessarily dancers by their previous experience, but were interested in learning about how different things in pop culture, whether in fashion or life or food or music or any of those different things, how they fit into corresponding with that dance as an inspiration. And so when I started that class, I went super deep into curriculum design and how to get people who are not necessarily into that to love it, right? And that really became a focus of mine as I was creating my own courses. So, as you know, I have a background in dance. I also talked about this before. And my work has been featured as an author in all of these different publications, from Backstage to Thrive Global to Flaunt Magazine. And I've also danced and performed as either an actor or a singer or dancer on MTV as a Laker girl, and been featured in Dance Spirit Magazine for a lot of different publications. So, enough about me. I want you to put into the chat what it is about your life in person, right? In your own space, that is the biggest distraction. What is the thing that you are always doing that you're kind of, for me, I have children, and that's not a bad distraction, but I'm always cleaning up toys, right? What is your biggest distraction that takes you away from your course creation process? So I want to know what that is. Put that in the chat, because I think that if we can get a handle on that thing that takes you away from creating something that's going to be a gateway to financial freedom, then we want to make sure that we tackle that. So if there's anything taking you away from your course creation process, put that in the chat. Oh, too many ideas, right? All right. If you stay to the end, I am going to be talking about my signature program. It's called Course Sweetener, and I will be presenting a special offer to you. So make sure that you stay to the end if you'd like to hear about that. I love this masterclass because this is for you. And I always break this down because I want people to be very committed to what it is that we're talking about today. If you have a course idea, if you are close to finishing your course and you want to launch it, if you are invested in bringing your course to the marketplace, it's for you. If you'd like to learn more about building your brand through course creation, and it's not for you. And I always like to go over these because it's not for you if you don't have an idea, because this is kind of on the finishing touches. I don't know if you looked at the very beginning slide. Let me go all the way back to the very beginning. If you look at this, I'm very intentional about how I design things. Very, very intentional. This is a woman who's standing, and she's got like a sleek silhouette going, right? She's got the black on black, simple skinny belt, and she's got that hanging like long sleeve, where you kind of like roll up your sleeves and get like a little rough and dirty, right? You got your little checkered shirt. Now, when I look at that, to me, I'm thinking this is sending me a signal, because this class is all about the evolution of your course. It's about doing the dirty work of like, oh, I'm going to get rugged. I'm going to put my checkered shirt on, my plaid shirt, whatever. And then I'm going to transform this course into something I can sell, right? Into something that is sleek and refined and has a definitive, message behind it. So I roll up my sleeves, and then I'm going to tuck it in the side, because I've already done that work, right? I've created my learning objectives. I know what my outcomes are going to be. I've created the course name. I've decided on the course type. I want to make it this shiny object, right? I want to make it so that I can sell my course. So everything that I do, I don't know if you've noticed, but this is the signal that this is where you're going to change it up, right? This is where you stop thinking about your course in a very I like micro way, and thinking about it as in that macro, like, okay, my big picture of this course should be, XYZ. So, like I said, if you haven't had an idea for your course, this is not for you. If you haven't started your course, it's not for you. If you need more help in the early stages of starting an online business, I have a class for that is completely unique to that subject. So that's not this class, okay? If you don't want to serve your students and you solely want to serve yourself, this is probably not the place for you. Because when you create a course, it's all about creating something that is going to impact your students, not just be self-serving. Because if you're going to be an instructor, you have to have purpose. And if that's not part of your purpose, then this is not going to benefit you. If you'd rather not invest in yourself, in taking on all of the different automation tools that we're going to talk about today and really implementing them, then this isn't for you too. If it's kind of like this halfway, 50%, I'm kind of like tiptoe, my toes in the water, but I'm not really in, I would say this isn't for you, because you want to get really serious. So in the comments, I want you to type out, I'm serious, because if this is for you, you are ready to go, right? You are ready to go. So I know that we have Karen and Giselle, and anyone who is watching this replay, I want you to type in the comments, I'm serious. Because, hey, Giselle, I know you are. Because, Karen, I know you are too. Because I know that it's very important to be intentional. And I talk about this in the Insider membership, is that being a person that is a leader of a business without intention will never get you anywhere. If you set your course forward with intention, you're putting it in writing. I am serious today. I am going to get it done. So that is important. If you don't want help completing your course, you're not in the right place, right? And then if you don't want to hear about what I was telling you about earlier about Course Sweetener, and having that opportunity to join it, then this isn't the place for you either, because I will be talking about it and I don't want it to be a surprise. So the goals for this masterclass, we want to learn about creating a cohesive course. And that goes into what I was talking about in that broader picture of things. So you can have all these different, fancy little things that you've decided, I'm going to teach this, and I'm going to teach this, and I'm going to teach this. And then when you step back from your course, you have to think about it in a much bigger picture. How many people have gotten like into that, blinder phase where you're like, oh, this would be great to put in. Oh, this would be amazing. I'm going to do this. I've done it so many times. And you know what is my saving grace? My husband is going to look at me and say, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you just said. And if you have somebody like that in your life, great. If you don't have somebody that you can bounce those ideas off of, now is a time where you got to find that person, whether it's getting a mentor, a coach, whether it's joining this program and having other people to bounce your ideas off of who are in the program, whatever it is, you are going to need that sounding board, because if you're just talking to yourself, you might sound amazing, but other people might not understand what you're getting at. So creating a cohesive course, which means pulling back from all the shiny objects that you're putting into your course and saying, does this make sense together? Or should I break it up and have this be for an entry level, target audience, and this be for an advanced level target audience? Or should I just, is it amazing? And is it really cohesive? Okay. And navigating sales offers, we're going to be talking about that today. Tackling my course launch blueprint is also something we're going to talk about today. Identifying your lead magnet is very, very important to bring in those leads so that you can nurture them, like we talked about during the course creation challenge. And then also selecting your promotional channels. We want to identify the key steps to scale your course. And then if you have already looked at the course creation challenge workbook, this is also in this masterclass, bonus masterclass workbook, which is the tech solutions for automation, just so that you have that in the same place when you're trying to decide what you're going to use. And then also the special gift for you at the very end. So I want you to drop into the comments. I know that you've done this if you're part of the course creation challenge, but I want you to only drop one. What is your course name? Drop this into the comments, because I want you to be very clear on where you are going. Because if you have a course name and you've thought of three, right? If you were in our challenge, then I want you to pick one. And I know it's so hard, but I want you to pick one right now. Drop it in the comments, because I want to know that you have decided on something. Because what happens to a lot of business owners is that they don't make that decision. They just, oh, I think, it's going to be this, or I think it's going to be that. And if you don't decide, it's the difference between people who, make a whole bunch of decisions and fail and learn from them, or people who still have their course in their computer and never shared it, right? So Karen has said, renew your faith and manifest. Lovely. Okay. I think we talked earlier about different kinds of keywords, and I love faith. I think that is when you think about faith and thinking of a keyword, I can't think of any other process that comes to mind, because I know that Karen is working on course in spirituality and also singing and combining that. So faith, I think, is probably a really good keyword. Renew is an action. So I love that. I don't know if Giselle has her course name, but please drop it into the chat. And then also, if you're watching on the replay, please drop it into the chat as well. So on your course creation journey, I know that plenty of people, oh, not yet. That's okay. It's okay not to have a name, but I want you to, if you could just decide on one thing today, make that your decision for today, right? Is your course name. When you think about your course creation journey, it's very important to know where you're at. And I put up these 1 through 5 during our course creation challenge, because I wanted you to see them again if you're taking this bonus masterclass, to see, have you moved from 1 to 2, or 2 to 3, or 3 to 4, or even to 5, right? So think about where you have started, and now if you've shifted a little in this journey. Now, thinking about your cohesive course. Okay, so I want for you to be able to have a really, really stunning cohesive course. And when you go into and I'm going to pull it up, not on our screen, but I want you to look at your workbook if you have it open with you right now. And what one of the quotes in there says is, you can't sell anything if you can't tell anything. And that is by Beth Comstock. I love this quote, because I feel like if you are not able to communicate what's up here and what you know and your expertise, no one's going to be able to understand it, right? And it's so good to go through these steps of answering these questions to make sure that your course is cohesive. In the workbook, the first question is, what should the students learn? which you should already have course objectives if you were in the challenge. But if you haven't created a course objective, this would be where you would put them. And that's being very intentional about what objective you're putting forth and what outcome they should achieve. The next is, do you meet any state, or do you need to meet any state or national guidelines? And this, I think, is very important because a lot of people, like one of our challenge participants, Jennifer, she's a lawyer. Does her course have to also contain some sort of stipulation that I'm a lawyer, that this is not legal advice, or make sure to seek legal advice? Or is it maybe an educator that wants to make sure that their course is being taught on a university level, right? Does it have to meet certain criteria? So when you're thinking of your course, does it have to meet any sort of guidelines? If you're a health professional, do you have to state certain requirements about your background or expertise inside of your course, or any disclaimers so that people who might take your course on demand, and maybe you are teaching yoga, if they break their neck in their own house, are you liable, right? So making sure that all of those little details, for the broader picture of, is it used as a certification, is it used as some sort of benchmark for getting into another program, all those things are tackled. The next is, how will you know that they have learned the skill, that your students have actually learned the skill? Are you asking them to demonstrate it? Will you have some sort of alumni association where you're using them in particular like communication materials, like, hey, I want to feature this person in my Facebook group because they're an alumni, and then they're going to be able to teach a mini course and they should be able to demonstrate what you've taught them, right? How are you going to know that they have actually achieved the skills that are in your course? I think that that's very important as you move forward, to know how you're going to qualify that. In the workbook as well, we talk about navigating your sales offer. And I think that this is one of the things that a lot of people wanted to learn about the most, which is that when you think about scaling your course, it has a lot to do with how you're pricing your course. And if you're starting out with a high ticket offer, or if you're starting out with low ticket, medium, and high ticket, high touch, right? So breaking down your sales offers is probably like second to what's your course name, right? So it's very important to have this part broken down to a science, right? In these prompts, I want you to write down in your workbook, what is your full price? What is the full price of your course? And then I want you to break it down if you have a medium ticket offer or a low ticket offer. And low ticket is that, say, kind of like 7 to, 47 kind of dollar range. There's a medium in that like 200, 257 kind of thing. And then you get to those high ticket offers that like are, 1,500 to like $3,000 for a program, or even more. I was speaking with a woman about her actual 1,800. Yes, go full price. I was speaking with someone about their speaking course, and it was she works with meeting planners, and she knows the ins and outs of how different speakers are booking their gigs. And I thought, this is an interesting niche that she's got, is that she's got the ear of meeting planners, and people are coming to her to learn how to navigate, figuring out their signature talk, right? So when she's putting together her high ticket offer, she is very high touch, because having a signature talk isn't something that you can just figure out in a video, right? And so her high ticket offer was $25,000, right? So when you think about high ticket, it depends on the duration of your course. It depends on how high touch it is. It depends on if you're going to have group coaching versus one-on-one coaching, if you're going to have live calls versus send in your questions and I'll answer them on a recorded video. All of those things, really play a part in how you're pricing your program or your course. The add-on is very important as well, because everyone wants some sort of bonus, right? Everyone wants that. Everyone wants to be able to feel like, oh, I'm getting so much in this process. I'm getting so much and I'm getting all these bonuses, right? So you want to figure out what you have that you can add on, or how you can break down that offer to say, here's the core piece and here's my add-on. I think Karen, I don't know if you have an add-on or if you're thinking about an add-on. Giselle, if you have an add-on, tell me what they are in the chat, because I'd like to know what it is that you're going to have as your main course, like your main meal, and then what's your dessert? What's your add-on? So put those in the chat so that we can kind of narrow those down. I am going to be talking about some of the things today, but this is a great place to talk about winning a prize, because I always have this during any one of my sessions. And so what I like to do is make sure that everyone knows that we have College of Style merchandise. And so this is a beach bag. It's a College of Style beach bag. And so because we only have 2 people on live today, you know that one of you is going to win it. So you'll have to drop in the chat a number between 1 and 7. And whoever is closest is going to win it. So I am, let me see what the other one was. Okay, so no add-on yet, 1,800 full price. I thought about music. Ooh, an MP3 bonus sounds lovely. Yes, because a lot of people want to be invited into a new music genre, right? Or to have people suggest new artists to listen to. Okay, so I see Karen's. Giselle, you're going to have to drop a number between 1 and 7. Okay, so Karen is my winner of the bag because I picked 7 because I have 3 7s in my birthday. So if you're ever on a live, just know 7 is one of my favorite numbers. Yay, Karen, you get this wonderful College of Style branded beach bag. Woo! And I love giving out prizes. So that was one of them for today. And so I will be sending that to you. I'll DM you and get your mailing address. The other part of the sales offers, just to get back to this, is testing your offer. Yes, you live near the beach. That's going to be perfect for you then. Testing your sales offer. And that is really important. I think a lot of people don't like doing that process. They just want to put it out and have it work. But your sales offer is very important. So a sales call is something that people hate. Cold calling people is horrible for a lot of people. They just are not, they don't want to feel salesy. They don't want to make that break the ice kind of moment. But it is helpful. If you can do enough of them, you will find out exactly, what the process is that you need to go through. I always suggest getting on the phone, even if it's through a referral. Somebody said, oh yeah, just call my friend. She's gonna, and she's open to listening to what you have to say, and get on the call. Even if you don't know the person, make the call, because you will be better after that has been completed. Doing a beta launch. I know that in our course creation challenge, some people are doing beta launches where they're kind of tweaking the course along the way so that they have the feedback of the participants in real time. That is one way to do it. And beta launch, you could launch it where it's a free class. I've seen a lot of times people have offered their course in exchange for a testimonial. I've also seen people launch their product and just reduce the price so that people are getting it for $12 instead of $27 or whatever it might be. So there's a few different ways that you can price a course if you're trying to do a beta, to get the social proof that you need in order to try to launch your course. I think that it really makes a difference when you are doing a challenge. Also, if you if you're connecting with your audience, that kind of back and forth can assist you in selling your product later. And so if you're doing something that's a lead up, which we'll talk about lead magnets in a minute, it will definitely help you sell it because people already have an idea of what it is that you do and what you sell and how you teach. The next part of the workbook that I want to get into is the course launch blueprint. And this is something that I put together with my course sweetener program, because after I was done, I was like, okay, well, I have to launch it, right? But these are what you're going to be filling in your workbook. Okay. So identify what you want to create to your course, identify your customer's pain point and your solution to their problem. Company legal documents have been submitted and finalized, and that's on the business end. So if you're trademarking the name of your course or anything like that, the URL for your website has been purchased and your host has been defined. So when you're thinking about launching your course, are you doing it on a sales page that's on your website, meaning sandracoltamedici.com/program, or are you doing it as a subdomain programs.sandracoltamedici.com? So figuring out where your course's sales pages are going to live is really important. And then defining obviously what host you're going to have: Wix, Squarespace, Showit, WordPress, whatever. Setting your course launch date. I know that we talked about this in our course creation challenge during the 5 days, but it's very, very important that you're doing this because you have to work backward. Naming and pricing your course is very important as well. And make sure to leave 3 months of marketing time. And the reason that I say this is because I love doing like a flash sale, course on sale, right? But people need that those sales touches, right? They need that like 7 to 12 times to hear it before they're like, oh, stop telling me, let me buy it, right? So if you are planning something, I would give it at least 3 months for people to warm up to the idea of taking your course, put everything else aside that they may have on their plate, because that's one of the things that I hear a lot is, I don't have time to do this course because I'm already taking a course, or because I've already committed to something else for the next 2 months, or my kids are going back to school in August. I have to do everything for me before I can, or for them before I can focus on me, right? There's plenty of excuses out there, right? But it's trying to get that 3 months of lead time that you need to be marketing your course, that is giving them time to go, okay, this is a sign. I mean, literally, I was watching Netflix last night, and at the end of it, there was this promo that came on for weight loss. And I was like, is this a sign? Does the algorithm know that I need to get on it? Right. And the reason that I said this is because it came on twice, right, while we were watching different things. So it's very important to think about that marketing lead time. Decide if you want to teach your class live or create a self-paced course, or both. We talked about asynchronous versus synchronous versus a hybrid versus some sort of maybe in-person element during our course creation challenge. And then also begin to pre-sell your course and identify collaborators and affiliates to sell it also. We're going to be talking about this particular one in a little bit. But I think it's very important to mark this one down as you're writing this in your workbook. This is really important. Okay. Develop your email marketing list. I know during our course creation challenge, a few different people said, I haven't started it, or I need to get on it, or I need to be more consistent. That's really important, is building your list. We talked about the percentages of conversion. If you have 100 people on your live session, most likely there's a 3% conversion to every single webinar or live event. So you want to, the more you get there, it's all a numbers game, right? And I mean, you might have more than 3%, which is even better, but on the overall scale, that's where it kind of falls. we are talking about email marketing, just kind of as a side note, when you're thinking about email marketing, 2% opening, and clicking through on your email, I should say, 15 to 17% is good to open your email. 2% is great if they're clicking a link, right? If they're clicking through to something. And that's kind of the industry standard, right? The average of click through. So 2% is in your email, 3% is in your webinar or your live event. So you're really in that like small percentage. So getting and building the list, because you know that that small percentage is really what you're after anyway. You want to go for more. You want like the 15% conversion rate, but on the averages, you're playing that numbers game. So test call your solutions, your offers with warm leads to see, okay, well, why did they say no? If they were a warm lead, what was the hesitation versus the cold lead call? Like, obviously, you don't know them, they don't know you. It's a sales call, they're a little wishy-washy, whatever. But on a warm lead, they do know you. It's more friendly, it's more open. They're listening. They want to be sold, right? And why would they say no on a call like that? Those are the things that you want to find out so you can fix those before your launch. Signing up and uploading your course to a platform. This is another key element for making sure that your course is deliverable to your audience. I listed Teachable, Kajabi, Thinkific, Kartra, Zoom, Jimgo. You can also do it on your own site. If you have capabilities of locking a page, then you can do it on your own website. If it's a live event, then you literally just need a landing page that's going to convert into having people sign up and then giving them the link for them to join you in the live. Marketing strategy, created a scheduled calendar of how you're going to implement that marketing strategy. Branding and hashtag strategy is completed and tested, right? You don't want to just throw out something out there and hope that that was the hashtag that you needed because it might not be, and it might not work. It might not bring you anybody, right? Marketing funnel ads are in place and ready for rollout. Social media strategy has been created and scheduled on your calendar. Your friends and family have been notified to engage on socials with additional support. And that's not meaning every time you post something, they're liking it. It's literally they're sharing it, right? If they're in your target audience, as far as the demographic and the friends that they have, the colleagues that they have, then you would love for them to share it or to send the link to the people in their network who do fall into your target demographic, sharing that link with them, because that's really important for the referral aspect. I know that you were interested in this. My daughter's doing this. I think you should check it out. That's really important. I would hate to see friends and family liking every single thing, because that's going to disrupt the algorithm for you. You want people clicking on your stuff that are actually in your target market. Videos for all tutorials and invitations created and named in organized folders. This is really key. When you're scaling your course, it's going to be really important to be able to find everything. I know that naming things is very important as well. When you are putting together a video tutorial for your, let's say, module 1, call it module 1 underscore video 1. Have a system in place so that as you're uploading your course, you're not just naming willy-nilly and then trying to figure out, what did I name that again? When you're trying to go back in. Safety and security for your platforms, which is really crucial. Two-step authentication. I know we hate it, but it's really important. And then LastPass, and making sure that you have some sort of security measures if you have multiple team members, so that people aren't sharing passwords, so that it's just not just this password train out there, but that you have some sort of handle on your security. Plus, you don't want people stealing your information, right? You don't want people taking your course and then pretending like they wrote it themselves. Email integration built out and email funnel created and tested. So you want to make sure that you have all of that information created and put into place. Payment integration completed and tested as well. So you want to make sure that your links make sense and are working. And then if you're teaching live, that you've completed a mock session, because you don't want to go into your session not being able to know, what you were supposed to talk about. Just because you can talk about it for 30 minutes without actually having notes doesn't mean that you should. right? It just doesn't always come off with the same polish. It doesn't come off with the same refinement. It doesn't make you sound any more competent either. But if you've had a chance to rehearse it, then you can see what's going to mess up, right? You can see where where your screens need to be, where your eye line needs to be. If you have anything behind you, you can move it, right? You set up your space so that you are the most comfortable in your space. If you need a cup of coffee next to you, make sure you have it. If you have that whole live setup checklist, which is really crucial as well for you to be in your element. I had a teacher, a chemistry teacher. I took chemistry 2 AP in my high school days when I thought I was going to be a brainiac. And my high school chemistry teacher had been on Jeopardy. And one of the things that he said was, now he didn't win the whole thing, but he did really well. He said, anytime you're taking a test, wear blue. And I was like, why? That doesn't make like, okay. He said, wear your blue jeans because you're comfortable in that. And it makes sense when you're teaching a live class, when you're doing any sort of event, be comfortable in your own skin. And setting up that live class or live delivery checklist is very important. It's almost like putting together a checklist for a photo shoot. What lipstick are you wearing? If you wear lipstick, are you going, no makeup Alicia Keys style? Are you putting on something that is like this? It's super, like, literally it's stretchy like this. I'm living in my sweatshirt or in my sweater today. And it also goes with one of the pictures that I put in the slides. And so there's that continuity for branding, but there's also, I love this sweater. I'm not the least bit uncomfortable as I sit here talking. And that's another thing that you need to think about when you're putting together your launch is you are part of that launch, right? If you're teaching the course, you have to be part of the launch, not just the materials, but you as the instructor. Now, moving on to the last one is taking a deep breath and publishing your course, right? A lot of people don't want to hit that button. They just don't. It's really, really nerve wracking to feel like, oh my gosh, like it's live, it's out there. Somebody could buy it. like someone could buy it. Like that's the point, right? So I wanted to just make sure that we talked about that part. In your course launch blueprint, all of those steps have a blank. So I want you to fill those in as you go. Did anybody have any questions before I go to the next point? I know that Jennifer missed a little bit of this. I'm going to make sure that we get you the replay for the beginning of this. And we're going to go over some lead magnets now. That I wanted to just chat about really briefly. You don't need me to have it on the screen, but there are blanks in your workbook for you to put these in. She put a little heart in the chat. Oh, love it. So let's talk about some lead magnets. And I want you to put in the chat as I discuss them, what is your lead magnet? What's the lead magnet that's going to convert the best? It's not about having 14 lead magnets that barely convert. It's about having one that's going to convert the best. Okay. So lead magnets could be a live chat. It could be, excuse me, you could be putting out templates. I just actually put a 110 social media template pack together. That was a lead magnet. And I posted it inside of one of the Facebook groups that I'm a member of. And I've so far gotten, I think, like 40 people join my email subscription just based on that lead magnet of templates. You could present a special offer, a flash sale or something like that. Another one could be a contest. You could be running a contest. You could have a free trial. I've also seen people, whether it's your 7-day free trial for like a software program. I've seen a $1, get everything for $1 the first month or whatever. Another one could be creating an online event, similar to the challenge. You could do a webinar, or you could even have it be something associated with a podcast. You could be doing a demonstration, hey, I'm having a live demonstration. I've seen a lot of people, influencers who do makeup tutorials and do online demos. Another one could be a survey, right? You take a survey. Another is, I know surveys are similar but different, but quizzes are really great lead magnets as well. Another one could be a tool that you use that's on your website, right? You could have a widget that pops out that, asks people to integrate something into their website, right? Or you could just create content that is so irresistible that is so irresistible that people are so drawn to you and want to share it, right? I've seen so many people on TikTok, say, after you're done watching this video, share it with yourself. And the thing about that that's genius is that number one, they're getting shares. But number two, you're sharing it to yourself because you're saving it later, right? It's not just saving the video on the platform, but you're sharing it to yourself, which means that it's going, you have to give them your email to share it to you, right? So it's like this psychological way of telling you, like, you need to share it with yourself, but give me your email while you're doing it. But it's really to, there to help you. So it's all of those different kind of word choices. So if you could drop in the chat, what is your best converting lead magnet that is going to bring in the people that will take your course? So drop that in the chat. And then we're going to talk about some promotional channels really quickly. And some of those questions in your workbook, you can take a little bit of time to do. But where will you promote your course? This is very important to think about as you go into, we talked about this in the Course Creation Challenge, is where does your audience live, and doing your target market analysis, your ideal client avatar. So if you are thinking about where you're going to promote your course, is it, I'm going to promote my course in Facebook groups that are women business owners, and their specialty is in physical products, right? Whatever it might be. So you're going to be very specific in this question. Where are you going to promote your products? It doesn't mean that you have to have one place. So where will you promote that? Karen says her lead magnet is a video and email. Yay. Okay. And so then the next question in your promotion channel is, how will you pre-sell your course? And this, I want you to get really specific, even if it's after we end our session today, is getting specific on how are you going to pre-sell it? How are you going to validate that course that it's going to actually sell? Because you don't want to waste your time in waiting to sell your course. Like, there's no reason. You already have a course name, you already have a course type, you already know what you're going to teach, you have learning outcomes. Sell your course. Don't wait to sell your course. You can tell people you have a wait list and this is what they're going to get once it opens up, but you don't have to wait to talk about it. You don't have to wait to publicize it. You already have all of those really key aspects. You know how much you're going to price it. So you can tell everyone and their mother that you're going to have a course, and this is my course launch date. Join the waitlist, get on it right now, or buy it right now before anybody else has access. Get that urgency, that sense of urgency going. This is what I said earlier in the slides that we wanted to talk about. Who can you partner with that will help you generate buzz for your course launch? And this is something to get very specific on. Who has a similar audience to yours, but may not be teaching the same topic? Right? You don't want to conflict where you're stepping on their toes, but you want to partner with a lot of people. You want to get a list going of at least 5 to 10 people that you can partner with, whether it's getting on social audio together on Clubhouse and talking about your course in front of their audience, whether it's swapping back and forth with your Facebook groups and getting on a Facebook Live and teaching a mini course to say, hey, my program's opening. This is kind of what you're going to get. When it opens, I'm going to let you know, or this Facebook group owner is going to let you know. Having that 5 to 10 different people that you're partnering with to generate buzz is only going to help you. When you are doing your workbook, you need to get really specific, and you need to know their list size. You need to ask them, If they don't already, if you can't really tell, like maybe they have a Facebook group of 15,000, okay, you know, they've got an audience that if you did a Facebook Live, you're going to hit, a percentage of that audience and on the replay. But you want to know what their email list is, right? Because you want to partner with somebody who is not afraid to say, I'm open to sharing your content with my list. Great. How big is your list? Is it 5,000 people? Let's talk, right? You want to get those lists that are a minimum of 5,000 people. Why? Because who wants a list of 300, right? It's great to have a small list because you can do something. If a course launch that you want to do, you have at least 500 people, I would say is the minimum that you want on your list to convert that 3%, right? Or 5%, depending on if it's a membership or what. But you want to have at least 500 people on your email list. And if you can pull in and have 10 other people who have 5,000 people on their list that are sending out your information and your link, why wouldn't you, right? Write down those people in the workbook. Make sure that you reach out to those people and say, here's my thought. How can we help each other? This is my list. What is your list? This is what I'm launching in XYZ date. And what do you have on your schedule? Oh, you're a lawyer, I'm a lawyer. You specialize in this, I specialize in this. Awesome. We have about the same demographic. Sweet. Let's do a webinar together and talk about protecting your intellectual property. I'll talk about my program. You'll talk about whatever it is that you specialize in, and we'll get our audience buzzing on these programs that we know they already need, right? Or doing a mini class in somebody else's Facebook group. I actually had somebody say, like, call me and say, you need to do a mini class on this. I would love to have you in. And I'm like, really? You're okay with that? People want content. And that's the thing. If you don't ask, the answer is always no. The answer will always be no. So you want to make sure that you ask. The next part of the workbook is a very, very important quote that I think is very relevant to what we talk about in the Course Creation Challenge, which is communication. It says people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And if you can communicate that in your marketing efforts, then that is going to help you scale your course, which is the next part of the workbook. When you're on the workbook, which I'm just going to scale a little bit forward on my slides because we abandoned those a little bit ago. When you're in your workbook, it says course launch versus scaling your course. Now, if you are in your, hold on, I lost my Zoom for just a second. If you're in the workbook, there's a lot to be learned about. Just launching a course doesn't mean that you're scaling it, right? And I think it's in the verbiage that you need to think about that I put underneath that big heading. It says automation and instructor removal, enter CEO and delegation of tasks. And for a lot of people who launch their first course, you're doing it all, right? You are putting together the slides, you're putting out all the video content, you're handling all of the outbound like thank you messages, right? This is where if you're going to scale your course, you need help, right? And either that help comes with a virtual assistant or it comes in automation, right? And that's where you decide to remove yourself and pull back. Like I said at the beginning of this talk here, of this masterclass, is you need to pull back and see the bigger picture. And the bigger picture of scaling has everything to do with delegation. And if you can take 50 different things off your plate, then you can focus on making connections on LinkedIn that are going to get your course in front of big boardrooms of corporate clients that hire you to come in and teach your course at, conferences instead of just selling your course on your website, right? So it's that kind of process that you go through in the workbook, answering the questions. How will you remove yourself from the day-to-day tasks of running your course? You are either going to automate them, hire out a virtual assistant, or find another method that's going, maybe a real, a person in your office, right? It doesn't have to be virtual, but having someone or something, some sort of software, right, that is going to do tasks for you, because that eliminates some of the headache of running it live, but also gives you an opportunity to move your course forward, to scale it and have more leads coming in, and you not having to write down every single person as they come in, but having it zap itself to, a Google Excel or Google worksheet, so that it's taking in the information and then it's implementing into your, your I was going to say Facebook, to your Flowdesk or to your MailChimp or to whatever your email marketing service is, so that you're not having to do all of those steps. It's seamless, right? And then you can focus on doing more lives, or getting more speaking gigs, or going on more podcasts, so that more people are hearing about your program and learning about what you do and how you provide the service that they need. What are you implement, or excuse me, when are you implementing automated course delivery tools? So I want you to put in the chat, when are you delivering that? Because if you're scaling your course, you know your course name, you know the objectives, you know what your price point is, you've got all that stuff decided. When are you scaling it? So I want you to drop in the chat, do you have a date? When are you scaling your course? Have you decided? I know it's all a lot, right? To think about, when are you going to do that? Because a lot of people just got into like course creation. But if you don't think on a bigger scale, if you don't go for the gusto, then you're going to stay in that one spot. Okay, Karen is thinking end of July. All right, so if you're thinking the end of July and we're already in June, then you have to really get on your marketing for your course, because you want to make sure that you have those touch points leading up to it. And like I said, I love the 3-month lead, because it gives you enough time to really have those interactions with your target market. Let's see here. The next question in this workbook is, what is the process for taking payments, failed payments, recurring payments, all of those things? Have you set up an automated system for onboarding all of the people who want to buy your course and end up purchasing? And what does the progress checkup email look like? What does that look like for you? Is it once every week? Is it once every month? Is it every 3 months? Like, how are you checking in on your students? Because you might want to offer them an upsell, some sort of exclusive to people who've already purchased your course before, and various emails about subscription renewals and how that goes into potentially a membership offering. So you want to go through those questions in the workbook, because this is how you're going to determine, number one, how you're going to remove yourself from your course so much that you're giving away tasks to competent people, or to an automation tool that's going to help you scale, but also be able to add to that, which is, just because you're taking tasks away that help you navigate that, doesn't mean that you can't replace those with media opportunities to amplify your message, because you're going to want to get on speaking engagements and have your framework be talked about in journals and publications, so that people can find you and be like, oh, I read about this framework that you have. I want to know more. I want to know how to protect my stuff. I want to know how to be more faithful and more spiritual. I want to be able to get my business to the next place. Whatever it is your genre of expertise, you want people to hear about that, right? So if you're taking away those tasks and delegating them out, then you need to also think about amplifying your message and filling that gap with more amplification. You want that earned media. You don't want the paid media. You definitely want the earned side, which means that people are looking for your story, right? People want to hear what you have to say, and you want to amplify it with earned media. You don't want to have to pay for it, because that gets a little sticky. And that goes into like maybe guest blogging, or pitching yourself to podcasts, or making sure that you are seen on a conference circuit as a public speaker, and so you're talking about your course. So that's all in the workbook for you to make sure that you connect with. I left in the workbook also, I left the tech check, so that you can make sure to get all of the software solutions that you need, because I know that sometimes that just, if it's in another place, then it's hard to find. So I put that in there in this one as well. So in your Jennifer and Giselle, can you tell me, when are you thinking about scaling your course, in the chat? Because I think that that's really important, to be able to know a date. Because I know in our course creation challenge, we talked about, really getting clear on our quarter 1 goal, and making sure that we um, had that planned out and mapped out for you. So, like I said, you're going to have this opportunity to join me for more. Can you take more of me? Yes, you can. With my course sweetener program. And September, Jennifer, yes. Okay, that's giving you time. I love it. Not that Karen is not able to do this, because I think you're definitely on the right track, because you've already done all the work in your course creation challenge. But I love a September. And the reason I do is because it's such nice weather. And when I talked about this earlier, it was, that you're getting a special gift. And that is because I had not opened the doors for Chris Sweetener before. Oh, you're going to start scaling in July. Well, I see. Okay, so Karen is going September course, scaling in July. Okay, awesome. So the timeline is there. I love that the timeline is there, because it gives you a reason, a purpose, something to look at and go, okay, let's work backwards. You've got all of these, and July and August are really long months, so you get a few extra days in there. So I love that. I wanted to introduce this course to you because you have done so much work in our challenge that this is what I've put together, called Course Sweetener for you guys. So module 1 is your brand and finding your voice, because I do a lot with clients specializing in personal branding. As you can see, like I said in the first slide, I was like, oh my gosh, I love, how things mean other things, how there might be hidden meanings, at least to me, and how I can share that out. Module 2 is individual work on strengths and weaknesses. And I didn't have a time to go through all of that with you guys during our course creation challenge, but it is very important to think about as you move forward in your course creation process, is making sure that if you don't have the expertise in a particular area, that you bring somebody in, or that you learn it before you try to teach it. Module 3 is identifying your target market, which would go a little bit deeper than just the ideal client avatar. And that goes into the search that needs to happen for identifying where people live, and how demographics actually change, constantly, and how you can navigate that process. Module 4 is setting your course objectives, and getting really specific. Module 5 is business fundamentals, which we did not cover at all during the course creation challenge. And then module 6 is building out your classroom and presentation skills. This is something that I think is really, really unique to my particular course, because I do come from a background of performance, and I also love sharing my tips and tricks for people to really help them get to become the speaker they want to be, to give a presentation that's memorable, to have people have really great aha takeaway moments, and develop their signature talk, as well as being able to build out your classroom. I think that it's important to know what you want your classroom to look like, what you want your space to look like, how you want to invite people into that classroom to be better learners, and to understand your point of view without feeling like you're screaming at them, or that you are invading their space because you're on their computer. Module 7 is customer experience and creating value. We did not go into a whole lot of this into the course creation challenge, just because there's so much to cover, but having a good customer experience is probably number 3. I think the course name we talked about, and then the price point was the second one, and then number 3 is definitely customer experience. And that really plays into how well you provide the support for your students, but also the follow-up, and that impacts your referrals and how people talk about you on the internet, right? You don't want people giving you bad reviews on the internet, but you also want to be supportive, during the process of their course creation or whatever it is that you're teaching. Module 8 is scaling your business, which we go into a little I should say a lot deeper than what we did today. But when you think about all of those things, it's very, very important to go through all of these to get your course to the next place, and to also figure out how you're going to deliver it with ease because it all sounds really nice and shiny and fun until you really get into it. These are the way that it's broken down in the modules. There are, you can do this at a self-paced progress, but I break it down into 8 modules, and really breaking down the modules into weeks 1, 2, and then 3 and 4. So this is my special pricing for you guys today, which is, all of this is valued at over $10,000 because I have put in so much effort and work into, and you've seen this in my course creation challenge, that it goes even further into all of this program. I think that when you look at valuing your course, we talked about price points, and this is really important when you go into making sure that what you are promoting isn't devaluing what it's really worth. And so I wanted to make sure that I gave you an opportunity to take the one payment option to join the Course Sweetener program, but to also have an option if you are, I put this in the chat right now, if you are thinking about needing a different set of financial options as well, which is 3 payments of $340. So if you check the chat, you can join the Course Sweetener program, which I never open right after a challenge, but I'm opening it for you guys today because you've done so much work so far, and I want to help you really seal the deal and scale that program. So does anybody have any questions? Because this is the part where you can ask questions, and I can go through any of those as we are making sure that you have all the information in the chat. These prices are only available for today and tomorrow. And so I'm taking down these links tomorrow after midnight. So if you want to take advantage of joining the program, please let me know by clicking on the link and going in through that payment portal and asking any questions now that you might have about what you're getting inside of that program. Oh, hey, Giselle. Thank you for the, I'm just adding sound effects, but that's what I interpret it as. If you are, if you are going to join the program, I am so looking forward to working with you. Karen has a smiley face. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions that they want to ask? Because I am done with the actual masterclass presentation, but if you had questions that you saved to the end, I definitely want to address anything that you didn't actually get an answer to, that we can do in the next 15 minutes or so. And then also, if you have any questions about my program, Course Sweetener, I'm happy to answer them as well too. So feel free to put it in the chat. If you don't, in the next, I would say 2 minutes, I will leave this up. And then I don't want you to not catch that link, but I will send it to you directly just in case you miss it from today. Is there a one-on-one course? You mean working directly with me? Yes, there is. So I have not, well, I should say, I opened my book June 1st, working one-on-one with clients. And so if you'd like to work one-on-one with me, I would suggest DMing me, and I can provide you with a better idea of what that would look like, because I don't know if you are looking to do, I have different packages. And so I want to make sure that what I'm saying to you is, the right fit. On my website, if you go to sandracoltamedici.com, I do already have pricing on there for one-on-one and group coaching. My voice is going for some reason right now. But if you go to sandracoltamedici.com, you'll get an idea of what that looks like. But I always like to, talk with people to make sure that what I'm giving them as a price point makes sense for what they need. So Karen, I know that on my website, there's group coaching that's listed as 1 hour is $500, and then one-on-one coaching is listed as 1 hour is $1,500, 2.5 hours is $2,500. But I also want to know, what it is that you're looking to do, because that's only for one session versus, putting together a package that's specific to your needs. So I will send all of you the links for my program if you're interested in doing that. I would love to continue to work with you. And then if you know anyone who wants to work through getting their course up and off the ground, feel free to, when you get the link in your DM, to share it out, because I am all about sharing is caring. And if you send me your links to your courses, I will definitely do the same, because if I've worked with you and you have been my student in a course creation challenge, then I want you to be successful as well, and get your program out there as much as possible. So I am done. If you have any questions for me, you know where to find me. You are most likely, if you've sent me your email address, you will maintain that email weekly newsletter that you'll get from me, unless you opt out. So that is not, mandatory for you to stay in my email subscription list. But I definitely want to send you all the stuff that I'm working on if you'd like to participate. I know that we just launched the what is it called? The Template Design Summit. I'm like, everything going on, which is happening July 1st through the 3rd. So I want to invite you to join me in that. It's free. I know that Jennifer, I think, signed up for it. But if you go over to collegeofstyle.com, you will see how you can register to get some of the updates on who the presenters are and some of the prizes that you'll get to win over the course of the 3-day summit. Oh, thank you so much, Karen, and Giselle and Jennifer, for showing up today on a Sunday. I will be doing the same presentation tomorrow. So if you know anyone who wants to join us, feel free to let them know that I will be doing that, and just, send me their information. I'll send them the link.